The Tethered Elephant, a profound life lesson. Benin was a young man living in a serene temple nestled at the foot of a mountain. Since he was a boy, he had been taken in and raised by a wise Zen master. To Benin, the master was not only a teacher but also a father figure. Over the years, under the master's guidance, Benin grew up amidst the peace of the mountains, learning about meditation, life, and self-discovery. Yet, despite the tranquility surrounding him, Benin often felt an inexplicable heaviness deep in his heart, as though something invisible and burdensome was holding him back. One quiet morning, the stillness of the temple was disrupted by the distant sound of drums echoing from the village below. A traveling circus had arrived at the market, and the lively music, accompanied by the laughter of villagers, piqued Binan's curiosity. He approached the Zen master and asked for permission to visit the village. The master, with a faint smile and a glimmer of contemplation in his eyes, said, "Go, Benin. But remember, everything you see can teach you a lesson, if only you observe closely." Excited, Benin hurried down to the bustling village, blending into the crowd as they gathered around the circus. The air was filled with a cacophony of joyous sounds. Clowns with painted faces performed amusing antics, while acrobats twisted and turned gracefully on ropes high above. Applause roared through the crowd, and children's laughter echoed in the warm air. But none of these marvels captivated Binan's attention. His gaze was drawn elsewhere, to a peculiar sight that made him stop in his tracks. At the edge of the circus grounds stood a magnificent elephant. It was large and imposing, its ivory tusks gleaming in the sunlight. But what struck Binan was how the great beast was tethered. A thin rope tied one of its legs to a small wooden stake driven into the ground. The elephant remained motionless, making no attempt to free itself, though Benin could see that a single pull would easily uproot the stake and snap the rope. Frowning in confusion, Benin approached the elephant's handler, an older man with withered skin and hands calloused from years of labor. Respectfully, Benin asked, "Sir, why does this enormous elephant allow itself to be held by such a thin rope? Surely, it could break free in an instant?" The handler chuckled heartily, as though Binan's question were amusing. "Young man," he replied, "when this elephant was just a baby, it was tied with the same kind of rope. Back then, it didn't have the strength to break free, no matter how hard it tried. After many failed attempts, it gave up and accepted that the rope was stronger than it. Now that it's grown, the elephant still believes that it can't escape. It doesn't even try anymore." The handler's words hung heavy in Binan's mind. He turned back to look at the elephant, its immense power rendered useless by a belief born of failure. A vivid image of the defeated creature lingered in Binan's thoughts, and he couldn't shake the feeling that the story resonated with him on a deeper level, one he couldn't yet grasp. That evening, after returning to the temple, Benin sought out the Zen master. He recounted everything he had seen and heard, his voice tinged with wonder and perplexity. "Master, why would such a powerful animal allow itself to be restrained by such a feeble rope? Doesn't it realize how strong it has become?" The Zen master listened silently, his eyes closing briefly as if lost in thought. When he opened them again, he gazed at Benin with a penetrating look. "The elephant is not held by the rope," Benin the master said in a calm, measured tone. "It is held by the belief in its mind. When it was young, it tried to escape but failed. Those failures planted a false belief that the rope was unbreakable. And now, even though it has the strength to free itself, that belief continues to imprison it. Tell me, Benin, does this story remind you of anyone? Benin froze, his thoughts suddenly racing. The master's question struck him like a bolt of lightning. Though he didn't want to admit it, he began to realize what the master was implying. Master, are you saying I am like the elephant? The master smiled gently and nodded. Yes. Benin, you have often told me how you feel trapped, unable to move forward. But the ropes that bind you are not external. They are the doubts, fears, and assumptions you carry in your mind. Like the elephant, you have convinced yourself that you are not strong enough, not capable enough, and so you never try. Those false beliefs are the real chains holding you back. The master's words pierced Binan's heart. Memories of all the times he had wanted to try something new but hesitated flooded his mind. He recalled how he had talked himself out of opportunities, fearing failure or ridicule, telling himself he wasn't good enough. It was as if an invisible rope had indeed been tying him down all along. Master, Benin asked softly, his voice trembling with emotion, what must I do to break free from these ropes? The master's eyes twinkled with kindness. Start by trying. Do not be afraid of failure. Benin, failure is not the end, it is a lesson. Watch your thoughts carefully and remember, they are not always true. When you dare to try, you will see that the ropes binding you are far weaker than you imagined. From that day forward, Benin embarked on a journey to break free from his self-imposed limitations. He began to challenge his doubts, taking small but bold steps into the unknown. He tried things he once believed were beyond his reach. And each time he succeeded, even in small ways, he felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Slowly, the invisible ropes binding him began to fade. And with each step, he felt stronger and freer. The story of the tethered elephant stayed with Benin, becoming a source of inspiration. He began to share it with others in the village, helping them recognize the mental ropes that held them back. Through his own growth, Benin learned that true freedom comes not from external circumstances, but from the courage to confront and dismantle the false beliefs within our minds. And so, Benin walked forward, untethered and unafraid, helping others to see that the strength to break free had always been theirs, waiting to be discovered.